Hello everyone, EquesTron here, and welcome to my review of Godzilla vs. Kong. This is the latest film in the MonsterVerse series, directed by Adam Wingard, who also directed Your Next, The Guest, Blair Witch, and the live-action Death Note movie. If that last one instills a little bit of fear in you, I personally don't blame you. That wasn't exactly the greatest movie ever, but the other ones are pretty good, especially Your Next and The Guest. Now, Godzilla vs. Kong follows up from the events of King of the Monsters. Godzilla, now thought to be humanity's savior, is now starting to attack people. While the monster organization Monarch tries to figure out what's going on, other members of the organization are trying to bring Kong to some sort of lost monster civilization. However, Godzilla sees Kong as a threat to his title of King of the Monsters and is on the hunt for him, leading to the glorious battle we've all been waiting for. Now we got that silly thing called plot out of the way, what did I think of the movie? Well, to be honest, it was pretty fun. Now, I'm a huge Godzilla fan, and I'm a pretty big King Kong fan. I love the 1933 movie, and I love the Peter Jackson movie, and I thought Kong Skull Island was very entertaining. But when it comes to my go-to kaiju movies, Godzilla is, for the lack of a better word, king. I love the original Godzilla movie, of course, but I also have a soft spot for some of the crazier movies, such as Godzilla Final Wars. Heck, even the Roland Emmerich movie, while a pretty lousy Godzilla movie, is an alright monster movie in general. But when it comes to the MonsterVerse movies featuring Godzilla, I really like them. While the 2014 movie makes the baffling decision of killing off its best character like 30 minutes in, I really enjoyed the slow burn nature of it, and the build up to Godzilla's first appearance is masterful. I mean, to this day, I still get chills from that scene. And yes, I do understand the complaints that the film cuts away from battles way too often, but personally, I think the movie is great in spite of its flaws. Now, Godzilla King of the Monsters is slightly more complicated. When I first saw the movie in theaters, I loved it. Despite having a terrible opening night audience that just wouldn't shut up during the movie, I thought the 2019 film was a blast to watch. The spectacle was amazing, the score is one of the best kaiju scores I ever heard, even to this day. But upon rewatches, I kinda get bored with the human stuff. It's not bad or unwatchable, it just takes too much focus away from what we want to see, which is Godzilla fighting other monsters. And yeah, I get it, all Godzilla movies are not all Godzilla all the time, but this one being nearly 2 hours and 20 minutes, it becomes noticeable. But as a whole, very solid movie. So as you may tell, I love Godzilla. Which brings me to my first negative of Godzilla vs. Kong, which is not enough Godzilla. Despite headlining the title, he's almost barely in the movie. Now, his appearances are fantastic, but for the most part, Godzilla vs. Kong is surprisingly mainly a sequel to Skull Island. Much of the focus is on Kong and the people following him around, while Godzilla is that looming threat that people are afraid of. While that's all well and good, after how King of the Monsters ended, it felt kinda weird. You see Godzilla at the beginning, you see him in his first fight with Kong, but then he just kind of goes off somewhere to play his PlayStation until he shows up for the third act. I guess it makes for a good nod to the 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla movie, as King Kong was more of the focus on that one, but it would have been nice to have a more equal balance. Now, Kong himself is quite good. I thought the motion capture was excellent, and his friendship with the little girl was pretty cute. Another thing I really enjoyed about Godzilla vs. Kong is that it really embraced the B-movie feel of these kaiju movies. I mean, there's wild-looking technology, there's flying crafts, there's robots. It's amazing how we gone from this gritty and grounded version of Godzilla to this wacky adventure. It's like if you went from Iron Man straight to the Avengers. Now, if you thought the human stuff in King of the Monsters was a little bit overbearing, you'll be surprised to learn about how the humans factor into Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still quite a bit of focus on them, but it really kind of feels like I'm just watching a bunch of cardboard cutouts walk around until the next big action scene comes around. I mean, you got these great actors. You got Rebecca Hall, you got Alexander Skarsgård, you got Damien Bakir, and they're just there. The dialogue is very Saturday morning cartoon. It's very cheesy and campy. I mean, I do give my respect to the actors for playing it straight, which is amazing, but like it doesn't try to go for like a gravitas kind of situation. At least King of the Monsters, for all its pretensions, it tried to do something. Like it tried to have like a very like a family drama within a Godzilla movie. Like there's like a family squabble in the middle of giant monsters fighting each other. I mean, say what you want about the execution, I will probably agree with most of it, but at least it tried. I mean, this one just goes from point A to point B with some cute moments here and there, but it's all just very stock, I guess. I mean, that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It's not like, this is terrible, just get to the monster action. But it almost felt like that there was a much longer cut of this movie that had a lot more human moments in it to give you emotion, I guess. And then the studio or maybe even the director was just like, you know what, let's not do that. Let's pick up the pace, get that Junkie XL score booming and awesome, and we're gonna get to the monsters fighting as soon as possible. And you know what, no, more power to it, because Tom Hulkenberg, who's Junkie XL, his score is fantastic for this movie. This is like the year of him, because he also did Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was also freaking amazing. But like the human element, it's definitely of the 4 MonsterVerse movies, this one was the most hollow in terms of like emotional investment. One thing I really missed was killing off somebody who you thought was going to be important. Like the first 3 MonsterVerse movies did that. Like Bryan Cranston, you thought he was going to be like a mainish character, and he dies 30 minutes in the movie. In Kong Skull Island, there was like this one soldier that you follow around a lot, and you thought like he's going to eventually get to the other main characters, but no, he just dies suddenly. And then in a King of the Monsters, you had Serizawa's assistant, who played by Sally Hawkins, who was just coming off of an Oscar nomination, and she just dies suddenly, like in the middle of the first fight of the film. Now, I'm sure they probably weren't aware that they were doing this, but I kind of wish that they were and held on to that cliche. Like, how awesome would it have been if just in the middle of an action scene, Alexander Skarsgård just gets eaten or something? or Rebecca Hall just is just running around, and all of a sudden just a foot just comes at her like 30 minutes into the movie. Heck, I was expecting that for Kyle Chandler. He was like barely in the trailer, so I just thought like he was just gonna die after surviving King of the Monsters. Now, it may sound like I'm spoiling stuff, but people do die in this movie. I mean, a lot of people die in this movie, because I haven't even gotten to the most important part about this film. It's the spectacle. Because for all my bluster about, this doesn't have Godzilla, the human characters are kind of lame, the action in this movie is pretty freaking insane. It kills so many people at the end of the film. Like, you got like Godzilla and Kong are duking it out, and you see them stepping on people. It's awesome. I mean, like, it's obviously horrific for the people who are getting stomped on, but as a moviegoer who just eats this kind of stuff up, I'm like, oh my god! Like, after Godzilla was kind of like a little bit careful in his films, because he always fought when there's like an evacuation, things like that. But here he's like, hey, I don't care, I'm gonna kill this monkey, and just annihilates the city. It's like, oh my god, everyone's dying. Now the first Godzilla vs. Kong fight is like, it's cool, but it's very short. Like, the third act just completely makes up for the lack of Godzilla vs. Kong action, because their fight there is pretty great. And then there's even a bigger climax at the end, which really got me like fist pumping and cheering. It was so cool. I did have a bit of a problem with how the last fight concludes. As a whole, it's just really top-notch stuff. So with unmemorable human characters, a lack of Godzilla, but amazing monster action, where would I rank Godzilla vs. Kong? Well, if I really had to, it would probably be like third. Like, it would be Godzilla 2014, King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Kong Skull Island. Because really having bleh human characters is kind of par for the course for these kind of movies. It's usually all about the action. When it comes to that, this film really does it best. It'll probably be like one of the more water cooler moments of the kaiju films. Getting together with your buddies and be like, hey man, did you see Godzilla vs. Kong? Oh yeah, I can't believe that happened. But let's see, how would I grade this one? I think if I had to, like, from an initial reaction, from a gut feeling, just by being thoroughly entertained by the film, even with like the flaws I mentioned, I was thoroughly entertained. I would probably rank it about like an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, it has issues, but it moves really fast. Like, it's almost like lightning speed. It never felt slow to me. But I did wish it slowed down a little bit. And like I said, I wish it had more Godzilla. I mean, if you're calling it Godzilla vs. Kong, have Godzilla in it a lot more, right? But as a whole, very entertaining movie. I highly recommend seeing it. If you have HBO Max, go watch it. If you have access to a movie theater, go watch it there. I really hope you like it as much as I did. So I hope you enjoyed that review. Please like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you want to see more, please check out my channel and click that notification bell if you want to be up to date. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay wonderful.